The 50th Infantry Division was an infantry division of the British Army that saw distinguished service in the Second World War.Pre-war. The division was part of the Territorial Army, and the two T's in the divisional insignia represent the two boundaries to its recruitment area: the rivers Tweed and Trent, the old boundaries of Northumbria. The division served in almost all of the major engagements of the European War from 1940 until late 1944, and also served with distinction in North Africa, the Mediterranean and Middle East from mid-1941 to 1943. The 50th Division was one of two British divisions to land in Normandy on D-Day, the 6th of June 1944, where it landed on Gold Beach. 4 men of the division were awarded the Victoria Cross during the war, more than any other division of the British Army during the Second World War.Pre-war and Mobilisation. The 50th Division had been reformed in 1920 as an infantry division, part of the Territorial Army, which before that was known as the Territorial Force. In the late 1930s, some of its infantry battalions had been converted to anti-aircraft regiments, and in 1938 the conversion of the whole of the 149th Infantry Brigade to divisional support units reduced the division to 2 brigades, and it was converted to a motorized infantry division. The division was mobilized on the 1st of September 1939, the day the German army invaded Poland, and until the 2nd of October also administered the units of its second-line duplicate formation, the 23rd Division, until its headquarters were formed. In October 1939, the 50th Division, under the command of Major General Gifford Locane Martel, was concentrated in the Cotswolds for training, and in January 1940 it was moved to France to join the British Expeditionary Force, France, and the BEF, disembarking at Cherbourg, France on the 19th of January. The 50th Division joined the 3rd and 4th Infantry Divisions as part of Lieutenant General Sir Alan Brooke's 2nd Corps, itself part of the BEF under Field Marshal Lord Gort. By March it was at work preparing the defences in the Lille-Luz area. With the German attack on the west on the 10th of May, the British and French acted according to the Dahl Plan and advanced to the River Dahl in Belgium. The next day the 25th Infantry Brigade and other supporting units were added to the division while it was in reserve on the Belgian border. Ordered to move on the 16th of May, the 50th Division headed to the west of Brussels and took up positions on the River Dender, only to be part of the withdrawal, and by the 19th of May was on the Vimy Ridge, north of Arras. It had become known to the Allies that the German army's southern spearheads had pierced the Peronne-Cambrai Gap and were threatening Boulogne and Calais, cutting the BEF's lines of communication and separating it from the main French armies. A plan by French General Maxime Weygand to close this gap between the French and British forces included Frank Force, consisting of the 5th and 50th Divisions and the 1st Army Tank Brigade attacking southward, and French divisions attacking northward from around Cambrai, Arras instead of divisions. The attack was made by 2 battalion-sized columns, with many tanks of the armoured units already unserviceable. Of the 5th Infantry Division's 2 brigades, one had been sent to hold the line of the River Scarpa to the east of Arras, together with the 150th Brigade of the 50th Division, while the other was in reserve. The 2 columns comprised the 6th and 8th Battalions of the Durham Light Infantry of 151st Brigade supporting the 4th and 7th Royal Tank Regiment. Artillery and other supporting troops totaled 74 tanks and around 2,000 men. 1 tank regiment and 1 infantry battalion was in each of the 2 columns of the attack, which took place on the 21st of May. The right column initially made rapid progress, taking the villages of Deucens and Wallace and a number of German prisoners, but they soon ran into German infantry and Waffen-SS, and were counterattacked by Stukas and tanks and had many casualties. The left column also enjoyed early success, taking Danville, Beaurains and reaching the planned objective of Wancourt before running into opposition from the infantry units of General Major Erwin Rommel's 7th Panzer Division. French tanks and troop carriers enabled British soldiers to evacuate Wallace, and the carriers of the 9th Durham Light Infantry helped those in Deucens withdraw to the former positions that night. Next day the Germans regrouped and continued their advance. Frankfort had taken around 400 German prisoners and inflicted a similar number of casualties, as well as destroying a number of tanks. The attack had been so effective that 7th Panzer Division believed it had been attacked by 5 infantry divisions. The attack also made the German commanders of Panzergruppe von Kleiss nervous, with forces left behind to guard lines of communication. Withdrawal to Dunkirk. By now Arras was becoming a salient in the German lines and increasingly vulnerable. The 4 brigades of the 5th and 50th Divisions were becoming hard-pressed, and on the night of 23-24 May received orders to withdraw to the Canal Line. After fighting on the Canal Line, the 5th and 50th Divisions were withdrawn north to Ypres to fill a threatening gap developing between the Belgian Army and the BEF. After a strong German attack on the Belgians on the 25th of May, it was late on the 27th of May when the 50th Division arrived at Ypres to find the positions already being shelled and the Belgian army being pushed northeastwards away from them. The gap was covered by the sidestepping 3rd Division under the then Major General Bernard Law Montgomery. The next day, on the day the Belgians surrendered, opening up a 20-mile gap south from the English Channel, which the Germans aimed to rapidly exploit. The division was now ordered to form a line east of Poperinge, with the 3rd Division east of them up to Luzerne. This was done by the morning of the 29th of May, forming the southern edge of the Dunkirk corridor. In contact with the Germans from the start, the 50th Division was forced back, and by late the 30th of May was in the eastern end of the Dunkirk perimeter. The division was reinforced by some remnants from the 23rd Division on the 31st of May, which were needed as the Germans continued to attack and shell the 50th Division's positions. Withdrawn to the beach on the 1st of June, the 151st Brigade was informed it may be used in a diversionary attack to cover the evacuation and form 2 columns, but this became unnecessary. That night the 50th Division was evacuated from the beaches and the mole, with Lieutenant General Brooke having estimated its strength on the 30th of May at 2,400 men. Home defense. While in Britain, the division made good its losses with new recruits and convalescents, and was converted into a 3-brigade infantry division with the permanent addition, at the end of June, of the 69th Infantry Brigade from the disbanded 23rd Division. It became part of 12th Corps Home Forces on anti-invasion duty, stationed initially in and to the west of Bournemouth, later on the north coast of Somerset. The division was first informed of an overseas move in September, but not until the 22nd of April 1941 did part of the division sail from Liverpool, the rest from Glasgow on the 23rd of May, on the way to North Africa, Mediterranean and the Middle East. In June the division, now under the command of Major General William Ramsden, landed at Port Tewfik, where the 150th Brigade and Division HQ was immediately sent to plan defences around Alamein. The rest of the division was sent to Cyprus, where it constructed defences on the island, especially around the airport and city of Nicosia. Reunited in July, the division continued continued its work in the island's pleasant surroundings, leaving in November, relieved by 5th Indian Division. Landing in Haifa, the 150th Brigade was stripped of its vehicles and the other two brigades traveled on to Iraq, crossing the Syrian desert to Baghdad, then beyond Kirkuk, building defenses on the crossings of Great Sab and Khazir rivers. In December, the 69th Brigade was sent to Baalbek in Syria to relieve the 6th Australian Division, which was returning to Australia. In February 1942, the 69th and 151st Brigades were recalled to Egypt.